Thank you everybody for being here. We're thrilled that you're joining us today. So good morning to all of our West Coast friends. Good afternoon to our Central and East Coast friends. And we're just thrilled that you're here. My name's Marnie Norris, and I'm the Senior VP of Programs for Inclusion Matters by Shane's Inspiration. I'm not going to spend a long time on us because we have some incredible guests today. One of our powerful partnerships is here today with Too Small to Fail, and they will share the incredible work that they're doing. So I am just going to give you a brief history of Inclusion Matters. If you don't know who we are a 20-year-old nonprofit organization. We work globally to dissolve bias for children with disabilities. And we do it by partnering with communities to help them both design and develop fully inclusive playgrounds, and then partnering with them on the back end to help them create social inclusion programming, both in their schools and in their communities, that builds bridges for children with disabilities and without, and also for the adult community of people with disabilities and without, to ensure that there's sustainable social inclusion in that community. So I'm going to hand it off. I have the pleasure and honor of introducing our CEO and co-founder, Tiffany Harris, and she is going to kick it off and introduce Jane Park and Too Small to Fail.
Thank you, Marnie. Hello, everyone. Oh my goodness, it's so amazing to see all of you. We have over 75 people that have joined today. So thank you for taking your time and spending your morning or afternoon, wherever you might be with us. I have the very deep honor of introducing Jane Park. And Jane Park is the director of Too Small to Fail. And I had the very good fortune of just sitting at her table at an early childhood breakout session with the Clinton Global Initiative 5 years ago. And that moment of magic has affected our organization so deeply. She started sharing with me about the amazing work that they were doing at Too Small to Fail in the area of early childhood literacy and all of their extraordinary partnerships that they had. And she started talking about their interest in playgrounds. And say no more, here we are 5 years from that moment. And we made a commitment just a few months after meeting her to integrate early childhood literacy prompts in every playground that we create in partnership with Landscape Structures, who's here today too. Hi, Jane. And we couldn't be more grateful because it gives us an opportunity to deepen our impact and both in our playgrounds and our programs. So without further ado and with immense gratitude, here is Jane Park.
Great. Thank you so much, Tiffany. And thank you so much to the whole Inclusion Matters by Shane's Inspiration team for our incredible partnership over the years and for your friendship, our collaboration, and all the work that we've been able to do together to create literacy-rich playgrounds all over the country. And also want to thank Jane Genuine and John McConkey on our call here today from Landscape Structures, our wonderful corporate partner, for just your commitment to literacy and learning for young children. It's just been a phenomenal partnership, and we're just so thankful to be here today to celebrate our partnership and also present a special Lunch and Learn, all designed to help parents and providers create a playful home learning environment for children of all abilities, especially right now as parents and caregivers are spending a significant amount of time at home. We've been very focused on providing resources and information to parents on how they can use just the things that they have at home to create a literacy-rich environment. And we've just been, and as a parent myself, we're always wondering how we can keep our children engaged. And so we hope that the information that we share here today will be helpful just in your everyday lives, and we're just thrilled to have some wonderful speakers with us as well. Before we get started, just want to, everyone has a chat function here, just want to start with a quick icebreaker. around our earliest memory of talking, reading, and singing as a child. What was your earliest memory of talking, reading, singing, or playing as a child? And where were you and who were you with? So it'd be great if you could just take a moment and share your earliest memory in the chat box right here.
Story time at the local library with my mom, reading books. Everybody's reading books to my cat with my mom. Mom singing songs with me. On a couch, cozy reading with a parent. Nursery school, playing in the kitchen. My mother reading stories to me at home. Group singing at a preschool co-op with my mom. With my mom, she sang and read to me all the time as far back as I can remember. Singing songs in the car, evening rocking chair with my dad. My mom was in a choir, so I remember singing each Sunday with her on the way to church. Music class in preschool. My mother read to us every night. When we got older, we would read chapter books, and my siblings and I would take turns reading chapters. I was babysitting my sister, so I sang to her Spanish songs. Bedtime stories read by either parent. My dad reading to me, playing with my siblings. One of my fondest memories is belonging to a book club and getting excited to receive them in the mail. I remember learning how to read my first book, and everyone thought I just memorized it. I read that same book with my daughter now. I read that same book with my daughter now. I remember my mom teaching me shapes, letters, numbers at home. Singing as a toddler with my mother and siblings. My mother playing guitar. Mom yawning while reading to me. Car singing, counting my fingers and toes and coming up with 19, haha. I was with my mom. Singing at church, Colors of the Rainbow song in nursery school. Grandma reading to me and my brother. My dad reading Pinocchio to me one chapter at a night. Sitting on great grandma's lap, my mom reading her science books to me and looking at pictures of the human skeleton, singing to my dolls, lullabies before bed, singing in the car on vacations, see Dick and Jane.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. These are all just wonderful memories, and we appreciate you sharing all of this with us. It's just great to see that it's moms, dads, grandparents, and others who've all had a profound impact on our lives. And at Too Small to Fail, we're very focused on these early experiences that we know shape children's learning and development, and all of these interactions that we know have a lifelong positive impact on children and families. And one day our children will be older thinking about the memories they had with us as parents or providers and educators. And so our goal at Too Small to Fail is really just to make all of these small moments big for children and families. And we're so thankful to all of our partners for helping us spread these messages about how important just small interactions like talking, reading, and singing are for children's learning and development. Delighted to share our wonderful presenters here today. I'm going to share a little bit of background on Too Small to Fail, but also tell you a little bit about our special speakers. Marisa Connor has a master's in special education. She is the former Youth and Family Engagement Manager at Baltimore County, Maryland Public Library. Marisa has been instrumental in helping Too Small to Fail develop our Family Read, Plan, Learn centers in laundromats, as well as in 19 branches at Baltimore County Public Library. She also designed learning components for Storyvilles, which is Baltimore County Public Library's award-winning early childhood learning environments. And prior to working in the library, she spent 24 years working in special education. And she currently serves as the co-chair of the Baltimore County Early Childhood Advisory Council. And we're also so honored to have her on our advisory board as well for Too Small to Fail. Veronica Tapia, I first met in 2012. Veronica was a dear my daughter's first preschool teacher at in a Montessori school in Southern California. And just from the moment my daughter walked in, she just completely gravitated towards Veronica. Just your warm and loving presence as an educator, as a mother, and as a friend. You just bring light and joy everywhere you go. And when we were thinking about this webinar, Veronica was the first person that came to mind as a mom, as an educator, and also as a mom of a special needs child. So Veronica, thank you so much for being here today to share your perspectives, not only as a parent, but also as an early childhood educator, preschool teacher, and a preschool director.
Thank you.
Just a quick background on Too Small to Fail. We launched Too Small to Fail because we know that there are significant disparities in our country in access to early learning programs and resources. And in our country today, almost 60% of American children are not ready for kindergarten. And they're lagging behind their peers on language and literacy skills that they need to succeed in school and in life. Next slide. We also know from research that there are significant disparities on language exposure during the earliest years. There's a landmark study that was done showing that children from lower income families hear 30 million fewer words by age 4 compared to their middle and upper income counterparts. And there's actually more recent research showing that some of these disparities are evident during infancy and when they're toddlers. So some of these disparities really appear when children are 18 months old. And so there's a critical need to reach families during the earliest years of life. And we really see this as an opportunity. We also know as parents and providers, it's not just the number of words children learn that help prepare them for success in school and in life, but it's really the quality of the interaction, those everyday moments, singing in the car, all of these moments that were shared in this group chat here, cuddling and reading a book at story time, singing a lullaby, talking about the things that you see, playing games, all of these moments build children's brains. And at Too Small to Fail, we're very focused on raising awareness among parents about how all of these little moments do really have a profound impact on children's ability to succeed in school and in life as well. Next slide. So for families, we're really trying to make these small moments big, whether it's a trip to the grocery store, doing laundry, playing together at home in the living room or during mealtime. And for communities, as we can see through our work through landscape structures, we're really trying to create spaces where these moments can happen more often. So whether it's creating little libraries and play areas in laundromats, embedding conversation prompts in playgrounds, turning the grocery store into a learning adventure. We're working with business leaders, nonprofits, and others so that we can create spaces that really surround children and families with language anytime, anywhere. So this is just a snapshot. Definitely brings back memories. Tiffany, we were there together, and Jane and John. This was our first playground that we developed at Sepulveda Park in Los Angeles. This was a train-themed playground, and this is just an example of the panels that we have in our playgrounds featuring conversation prompts so that the playground becomes an environment that really sparks language-rich conversations between parents and their children as they play together. So we're just thrilled that Shane's Inclusion Matters by Shane's Inspiration made this incredible commitment to incorporate our panels and our messaging in all of their playgrounds and development, and also thankful to Landscape Structures for making these panels and our early literacy messages a standard part of their early childhood equipment line. So we're proud to share that our early literacy messages are embedded in over 500 playgrounds across the country through our partnership with Landscape Structures. So I would say if there's a local park or recreational space that you're familiar with in your neighborhood, please reach out to us. We would love to explore ways for us to partner together.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Thank you. We have a really short video that Marcy is going to share shortly, just to give you a sense.
I'm Tiffany Harris, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Shane's Inspiration. And we are so proud to be partnering with the Clinton Foundation, Too Small to Fail, Next Generation, and Landscape Structures on Playtime is Talk Time playgrounds. We opened the first at Sepulveda Recreation Center on July 11, 2015, and it's the first playground to exist, actually, that has the Talking is Teaching panels. Our campaign will be focused on educating parents about the importance of talking, reading, and singing to their children. And what better place than to talk, read, and sing in a playtime when you're playing with your child.
What color are the steps? What color are the Orange, green, orange, green, orange, and green. Good job!
Thank you for the opportunity to share this video. This is just a snapshot of one of the playgrounds we were so thankful to develop in partnership with Inclusion Matters and Landscape Structures. And I'll never forget a mom of 4 who came up to me at one of our openings, and she said, I always thought of literacy as reading a book with my child. And this is giving me ideas on how I can just talk with my child. We can count the leaves and we can count the rocks, and all of these are helping, all of these little activities are helping to build my children's literacy development. And so our hope is that we can share these panels and prompts in other spaces across the country, and also spark some ideas for parents on how they can engage with their children. If we can go back to the PowerPoint.
You bet. And just as we move through this, one of the things that we're always looking at is adaptation. So part of today is really looking at how do we take this wealth of information and adapt it for children with communication challenges and or physical sensory differences. So that'll be the lens through which we're looking at this incredible resource.
So in light of COVID-19, at Too Small to Fail, understanding that parents aren't able to go to playgrounds right now, hopefully they will be reopening soon based on public health recommendations. But given that parents are spending so much time at home with their children, we created Too Small to Fail, a Talking is Teaching, Talk, Read, Sing indoor activities kit with fun ideas and tips on ways parents can keep their children engaged in literacy-rich, playful activities at home. And this resource is available online at talkingisteaching.org/indoors. Please feel free to access this kit. It's available in English and Spanish. We were also delighted to partner with Inclusion Matters by Shane's Inspiration on creating an adaptation guide based on this kit with adaptive ways that parents can take some of these tips and incorporate them into homes for children of all abilities. So without further ado, I will introduce Marisa Connor, who will be sharing some specific tips from this guide. Again, that is available online. Please feel free to access it, but I'll honored to introduce Marisa, who will go through the specific tips from the guide.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's always a joy to work with Too Small to Fail. They do such wonderful projects, and this is a great opportunity for families that have been stuck inside for a long time and may just be looking for some new ideas. I'm going to share a few quick ideas and adaptations today. They're just a starting point for you to come up with some of your own, looking at things we may have around the house, because a lot of us aren't getting out. We don't have all the resources available to us that we usually do. But the good news is kids don't need expensive toys or materials to learn. They just need some simple things that you can find around the house and a loving playmate, which is you. When I think about things around the house, boxes come to mind. I know that when I send a gift to a child in my life, I often get a picture from the parent with the child in the box rather than playing with the toy I send, because kids just love boxes. So quickly looking around your house, you may have an assortment of boxes. They could be shoe boxes or boxes of that food was in that are clean. A lot of us are ordering things. We have boxes coming from outside. Kids love boxes, and allowing your child to have an open-ended experience with the boxes where they get to choose what they want to do with it and what materials they'll use with it really helps them problem solve and think out a plan, think creatively, and use their imagination. List possibilities to what you can do with a box. A couple of examples. If it's big enough for your child to sit in, they could make it into a car and pretend to go on a trip, or use it, go to a drive-in and watch a little show. You could open it up and make markers so they could drive their cars on it. They might just sit in the box and color on the sides. If your child has difficulty moving, you could open the box at each end and let them drop balls through it so that guides the ball, make a little ball maze for them. Just limitless possibilities for boxes, and they love them so much. Other things in your house are your own furniture, using chairs, tables, blankets and sheets and soft pillows and toys. You can make little forts. Kids might just want a little quiet time to themselves. They may want you in there with them. And you can easily transform that into a sensory space, maybe with some little twinkle lights that you've had left over from the holidays. You could suspend scarves or little toys that your child likes and make it into a sensory space. Next slide, please. How many of us are spending more time in our kitchen than ever? I don't know about you, but I think I've cooked more lately than I've cooked in a long time. But food is a wonderful place to talk and learn. Whenever you're having a snack with your child, whenever you are preparing a meal, talking about the colors, textures, tastes, feels, smells. You know, is it salty? Is it sweet? Do I like it? Is it yucky? You know, just so many rich vocabulary experiences come when you are eating with your child. And cooking, your kids love to do what you're doing. They're fascinated by cooking, so let them help. Let them count out how many eggs. Let them help measure out the milk. Go through the steps with them. This is what we're going to do first, second, and third. Talking out loud, even if your child can't talk, gives them the language of what these experiences mean. Next slide. Music. Kids love to make music. You might have some instruments in your house, but if you don't, take a look through your kitchen. Do you have some wooden spoons? Do you have some plastic bowls? If you're really brave, get out the pots and pans and let your kids make some music. Rhythm is a really important early math skill, and you could do some rhythmic activities like making a pattern, boom, 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 and let your children repeat that with you. That helps them with, that's an early math skill. Making your own rain stick. You could take an empty tube and you could use dried pasta, dried beans, dried rice. You got to be careful about choking hazards. Tape ends together and it can be a sensory stick and they can shake it. Next slide, please. Movement. Young children learn through their large motor movements. So, and music can be very, very motivating and calming. So having a family dance party, if they've been inside for a long time, they're going to need to move. So turning on some music and just dancing, putting on a music video for children that they like. You can pretend to do animal moves. If your children can make the movements, talk to them. Let's move. How do you think a monkey would move? What sound would a monkey make? All of those are great for getting kids going. And when children use those large motor muscles, they wake up areas of the brain that stimulate language and also attention. When I was teaching kids with special needs, we always started with a music and movement activity because it helped them engage and focus. Next slide. Going on a scavenger hunt in your own house. Learning about shapes is something all children do. You might have an example of a cutout circle and square and triangle, some simple shapes, and let them go around the house with you. What are some other circles? Where do we find some squares? If your child needs to simplify that, you could pick a few items and put it on a tray and let them help you find the circles or squares. I Spy with My Little Eye is a great game to play with kids. You could take pictures on your phone of things around your house, but just a partial, like part of a bed or part of a chair or part of a toy, and let them show them the picture and help them guess, you know, what could this be? Next slide. Water. Most kids enjoy water play, whether it's in the bathtub or in the kitchen sink, or maybe you have a big tub you can fill with water. And if it's a real hot day now that we're into summer, maybe you take that tub out on the porch or in your yard and let them play in that. But for babies, just as you're bathing them, to talk about their body parts, you know, we're cleaning your nose, we're cleaning your toes, you know, touching their elbows. And a float for older children, have a variety of objects that you can practice. Does this float or does this sink? And another activity would be to give them some kind of plastic containers of various sizes and talk about which holds more and which holds less. Again, a lot of rich language experiences in this play. Next slide, please. Reading. I would always tell parents reading is one of the best things you can do to develop language, letting your child choose which book they want to hear, even if they want to hear it over and over again. Reading promotes vocabulary that they don't often hear in their everyday life experiences. So it's always introducing them to new words. And acting out the story. When I taught children with moderate to severe language disabilities, I saw great growth when they could act out the story themselves. So we would often start small, like Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jump over the candlestick. And we'd give them a costume and a fake candle, and they love to act it out. And then you could graduate to more complex stories that have a beginning, middle, and end. You can use dress-up clothes. You can make things out of socks, little sock puppets, but just letting them act out the story, especially after they have just heard a story with you. Next slide. Sharing kindness. This is a really emotional time. Little kids have big emotions, and a lot's been going on in their lives. Their schedules have been disrupted. Yours have been disrupted. There are 4 major feelings that you need to talk about with your children and help them identify. And that's happy, sad, mad, and scared. And you can use that with pictures of real children's faces, or you can draw pictures, but having them label their feelings and label the feelings of others is really important social emotional skills. So maybe they're missing a teacher or a grandparent. Can they draw? They can write a note, or maybe you could take a picture of your child to send to their teacher with a special message. If they can draw a picture, you can hang it up in a lot of families are hanging pictures up in their windows so their neighbors can see. Maybe you're putting a little note out or picture for the person that picks up your mail or picks up your trash. Next slide. Being helpers, sharing is caring. How many of you are going through your closets right now? Let your children find things that maybe they don't need anymore, or they want to share with a friend. And also cleaning up. Cleaning up is a skill that they need for life and school. And you could set a timer, pretend you're a vacuum cleaner, and you're going to help clean up. So letting your child participate in those everyday home activities. Next slide. Washing our hands. Not all kids like to wash, do they? But you can make it a fun game with this fun little song. And if you sing the song for at least 20 seconds, which is singing the song 3 times to the tune of Row, Row, Row Your Boat, then they have washed their hands. So making washing hands a game and singing a song will help with that activity. Next slide. And planning. Many children do well with a schedule. Your child may have had a schedule at their child care or school that they're not going to, and maybe you need that at home. Maybe it helps them to know what's going to happen first, second, and third in their day, and using a picture. If you have a picture schedule that you've used at school, many children do use picture schedules in their child cares and in their schools, and maybe you could have one at home to help them know what you're going to do that day once you've picked your activities. Next slide. These are just some items that as I went through my house, I thought that many people had. You may have more things or not all of these things. Another good idea is just have a box with some old magazines and mail flyers. An early activity for learning how to cut is just to tear paper. It's a great fine motor skill. So letting your children take those old magazines and flyers and tear them, or use a hole punch, or use child-sized scissors as they're able. So hopefully you've got a few ideas. Sorry I have to go through this so fast, but enjoy, learning with some everyday things. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. And we will be sharing the PowerPoint. Just so you know, we've had a couple of questions in the chat box about, are we going to be able to share the PowerPoint? And we absolutely will, just to keep these great ideas going. So Jane, do you want to introduce Veronica, and she'll take it away from here?
Yep. So we are so thrilled to have Veronica and her precious here today. We wanted to just provide an inside look on what these look like. And I've just been so inspired by hearing about Veronica's experiences and how vulnerable and open you've been about the challenges as well as the joys that you've been experiencing as a mom of 2 young children and August with special needs. And it's just, you are my superhero.
That's Jane.
And appreciate you just being here. Just to share about your experience as a mom and what it's like. We know that it's, a parent of a child with special needs. There are additional challenges there, and but you find joy in all of these little moments, and we're just so thankful to you for sharing with us today on how you create an environment that promotes playful learning at home, and then also some special self-care tips. Because we know that just how important it is as we care for our children, how important it is to care for ourselves as parents and providers. So thank you, Veronica, and hello, August.
August is just off screen being a little fussy right now, but thank you so much, Shane. It's so nice to be here. I am honestly just so honored and blessed to be a part of such a great event, and I'm so thankful that you thought of me. So thank you so much, and welcome to everybody watching, and thank you so much for joining us. Like Jane said, I've been a Montessori teacher actually since 2008. I started at a Montessori preschool and really didn't know what I was doing, but I totally fell in love with the philosophy, and I really fell in love with working with young children, and I found so much joy and fulfillment from it that I have dedicated the last 12 years of my life to doing that. When I became a mom, in 2016, I had my baby girl, Abby, who's now 3.5 years old, and she's doing fantastic, and she's my little helper. We had our second child, August, last year, and he'll be turning 1 this month, which is super exciting. And now it was a total shock at birth, though, that August was diagnosed with spina bifida. Specifically, it's called lipomyelomyingeal, which is a type of spina bifida where the spinal cord and membranes are connected to a mass on his lower back. And so when he was born with that, we ended up needing to have surgery when he was about 4 months old to remove the mass and detach his spinal cord. Spina bifida is known as the snowflake syndrome because it doesn't really affect any two children the same, and their mobility can really range from being fully mobile, able to walk unassisted, to being in a wheelchair, crutches, braces, any kind of extra assistance like walkers and things like that. So they can change as they grow throughout their lifetime. But right now, I'm happy to say that August is doing fantastic and he is still fully mobile. He has feeling all the way down to the tips of his toes. And since COVID-19 happened, our therapy unit has been closed. So we've really turned our play space also into our own little at-home therapy unit. And so basically at this age, therapy, I realized, is a lot of just purposeful play and making sure that we're giving August all the resources and the space that he needs to be able to freely move and exercise, strengthen his core, strengthen his upper body, strengthen his legs and feet, and keep them nice and flexible so that we can hopefully start walking one day. So this is our setup. Nice little spot in the house where I made it a safe space for the children. And this is really their zone. So everything is going to be down at their level. Everything is within reach for the children, for August especially. I realized that putting him in a corral or a playpen or anything that was closing him in and limiting his space wasn't as beneficial for him or for his legs and his therapy. I really wanted to be able to give him as much open space without limits, without restrictions, so that he could just freely explore and play. And so that's what I've done here. So instead of corralling him, what I've done is I've off in this corner back here is I've put a little corral just around one little area in our room where my 3.5-year-old can do her thing if she wants to have a little time away from baby brother, where she can play with the tiny Legos and things that might not be safe for brother. And it's not going to limit him. I don't have to hold him or pull him away from what he's doing. They're both able to do their activities in the same room, but without bothering or without making it an unsafe experience for August. So I've also put levels in our room. So I have like a little mat that I set up in the back with some toys up on a shelf so that he can reach them if he really tries. So it's all about encouraging extra movement where he would have to climb, lift himself up to stand. Also limiting how many toys I actually have out for them every day so that it's not like walking into a buffet where everything looks delicious and you just want to try it all and you don't know where to start or how to focus. I rotate toys out regularly, so there's just a few for him to choose from, and when he seems to lose interest, I rotate them out with something new. And those are all things that I always did in my Montessori classroom, so that's kind of how I decided to do it at home with my children, since I know that that's how it really works. In our classrooms, though, my favorite space was always the book corner or the library. And so I have that here at home. Super easy to create one. All you need is a place for them to sit and a basket of books. Easy peasy. So what we've done is I put a little soft chair. You can do a cushion, you can do a pillow, whatever you'd like, and a basket of books for him to choose from. I've also put some books up on a shelf out of his reach. So again, I'm encouraging him to use those little leg muscles to climb and stand and pull books down for himself. Speaking of books, that's one of the activities that I have here that I wanted to share with everybody today. One way with the kids that I really like to engage them in conversations and help with language activities is building little photo albums. And so flip books of pictures of our friends, our family, pets, anything that's going to be a real picture. When you're using real pictures with young children, it really helps to form those connections in their little brain. So they're seeing actual images. Books are fantastic. I love illustrations. I love cartoons. But when they see a picture of a real person that they see in their real life, like grandma who's holding them, or baby, or their sister who they're playing with, or their dog, they're gonna form those connections because it really looks like a dog. It's a true dog. So this one is themed after his sister. It's all pictures of big sister, sister playing, sister going to school, sister riding a car. So he can look through the book himself and just look at the pictures. We can talk about names. We could talk about emotions. Sister's making a silly face. Sister is smiling. Sister is happy. So you're talking about emotions. Kind of like in the interactivity kits, you can also combine this with doing the compliments game. Sister looks so pretty. Sister has a cute bunny ears. So there's so many ways that you can use this activity to really engage with conversations with your child, even at August age. Our next activity that I love to do with August is our mystery box. So one thing about my children, which I have a feeling I'm not the only one, is they love to play with anything that's not actually a toy. So anything that is just from around the house and a random object, that's what they would prefer rather than real toys. So I use a baby wipe box, but you can use a tissue box, a shoe box, an old coffee can, anything that you have. And inside I put just a few random objects or toys. This is a great way to make use of those extra McDonald's toys or Happy Meal toys, which we happen to have quite a bit of here at home. And so I put them in and I take out the box and I shake it up for August and I'm very excited and oh my goodness, what's in the mystery box? And you open it up and you reach inside and it's a frog. And you ribbit, and frog goes on your head. Frog on your shoulder, put frog on your nose, wave frog up high, shake him down low. And what sound does he make? Ribbit, 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 and goodbye frog. And what you can do as an extension or making this a little more fun is use some kind of muffin pan or tin that you have in your kitchen and have them after they're done pulling the little object out is placing them one by one in the little tin. You can make it as simple or as complex, honestly, as you want. So you can do the extra step. You don't have to. He really loves it. When you're done, you can also teach hi and bye, and you're gonna put the little frog or animal back into the box and boop, bye-bye. And so there's so many different cool things that you can do with this activity to keep your child engaged. They're learning vocabulary, they're learning different types of animals, salutations, so many different cool things and fun things that you can do. The next thing, in line with recycling and using things around the house, I love using cardboard boxes like Marisa was talking about. Actually, since COVID happened, we have our Friday night movie night and we always do a drive-in. And so my husband is really good at making cardboard cars, I found out. And so we use a little cardboard car. We have a movie in here. Abby sits and eats all her snacks and popcorn. And it's been one of our favorite things to do over this little break called COVID-19 that we've had at home. Another activity though that I love using cardboard boxes for is this activity called nail salon. And this is my little self-care tip because being home with 2 children by myself almost all day, every day while my husband is at work is tough, very, very tough. And getting self-care time in is extremely difficult for me. So I realized that sometimes the only way, most of the time, the only way I'm able to get in some kind of self-care for myself is if I also combine my me time with a little bit of play time. So I try to make a fun activity for my child to do that's going to kind of be in line with what I want to do for myself. And so something I love to do for myself is getting a mani-pedi, which I'm now doing at home. And so while I do that, I have this little nail kit where all you have to do is you use cardboard boxes. And I traced my hand and I made cute little hands out of the cardboard. I give my daughter a little basket of my nail polishes and she sits and she has her little Abby's nail salon while mommy sits and has a little mommy time to do my own nails. And so self-care, my excuse was always that there's just no way, no time, how could I possibly do it? I found a way, I make the time, because I know that for me to be a good mom for them, it's so important that I also give myself a little bit of me time. And so this has been one of our favorite things to do, Abby and I together. And I hope that you can find a way to combine a little me time with playtime for yourself as well, because it's just so important. And I hope this has been helpful, and I really appreciate you listening to all I have to share. And thank you so much for having me again. I really appreciate being here.
That has been beyond helpful, Veronica. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've had some comments right here, so I'm just going to read a couple. Parents are the best teachers, and you are a master. Your presentation is such a pleasure. Thank you, from Mariah. A new use for my diaper boxes. Love it. Loving your ideas and loving the me time idea. And I think that's huge, you know, because no matter how old your kids are, everybody right now is feeling the pressure of sometimes working, parenting, educating, and then on top of it, and I really love Veronica and Marisa, which you spoke to, which is organizing your space to maximize some of those little therapeutic moments, right? So we're not going for the big win. We're not going for, you know, the full expectation of goals, but just leveling your space so that a child reaches for something, so that you're just incorporating that into your day-to-day space. I also love, Marisa, what you said about the sensory space, you know, and how it's really transforming, because a lot of us have kiddos on the spectrum, really transforming that indoor fort so that there is a little bit of visual input. There's a little bit of tactile input. There's a little bit of surround sound quiet space where you can curl up with a book with your kiddo and have it be a more calming, regulating activity. So those are all incredible tips. Beth just put into the chat box a downloadable document that has links to these resources from Too Small to Fail. So that's available for you to access at any time. And we wanted to open it up to Q&A. Jane, did you want to close it out with anything before we get our Q&A going?
I just want to thank Marisa and Veronica just for sharing all your wonderful ideas with us. As one of the, I saw a note in the chat box, parents are the best teachers, and couldn't agree with that more. All the parents here on our Lunch and Learn today, you know your child best. And so we just hope that some of the ideas and tips that we share here today are adaptable in some way for engaging your own children. And just like you modeled, Veronica, there are ways that we can experience a shared sense of joy with our children while taking care of ourselves. But let's all be real, there are difficult moments in the day, right? And there are times when we also need our time and our breathers. So thank you for just sharing all these wonderful ideas on how we can care for our children while caring for ourselves as well. So with that said, looking forward to any questions from the group here.
So if you have any questions, we're going to be monitoring the gallery view, and you can raise your hand. So to raise your hand, you're going to click on the icon labeled participants at the bottom center of your screen. At the bottom of that window on the right side of the screen, click the button labeled raise hands. So if anyone has any questions and or suggestions, if there's anything you're doing that's really working for you at home, please let us know.
We do have a special little group activity at the end, so just wanted to mention that, so in case.
We're going to unmute everybody and do a little playing. So I'm just scanning through, seeing if we have any questions or any suggestions. We're not seeing any questions just yet, but please let us know. What is the best way to stay engaged for next meetings along this theme? Okay. So that was a question from Mariah in the chat box. And we are going to send a link out to this recording So you can have that and have the PowerPoint and the resources for yourself. And then we are going to also continue Lunch and Learn. So we're gonna be picking it up beginning of July. So we'll be back on the Lunch and Learn path again. So we're not getting any questions, but a lot of thank yous. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I love the mystery box idea, and we'll definitely be trying it out. I know, I'm tempted to move in with Veronica. Your household looks way more fun than mine.
Come on down.
We're moving in with your friend. I want a mystery box in my life.
Party at my house.
With social distancing, of course.
Of course.
So I'm not seeing any questions. Oh, let's see.
Tin foil.
Yeah, I gave my daughter a cabinet in the kitchen with pots and pans. That way she played while I cooked. She would crawl in the cabinet and really enjoyed it. Besides tin foil, what might you use for the ends of a rain stick?
I have one right here. We use heavy duty duct tape to close the ends, but Marisa, Veronica, if you have other ideas, I'll show the rain stick here.
Mm-hmm.
Duct tape is good, or if you have any of that thick packing tape. If you have cloth, any little scraps of cloth that you could tape around the ends.
Yeah.
Tissue paper with a little rubber band around the end works too, or a little ribbon.
Also, what we were using was Tupperware with pinto beans. Just dried beans. You've got like a shaker right there.
Yeah.
It's cheap, it's easy, and it's in your cupboard. Suggestion, found some learning x-rays for teacher online and placed them on the sliding door window. And my 18-month-old got to play doctor. Nice, nice. So using glass and using, imagery to help make that pretend play. That's wonderful. Good. Okay, so I think we're right about time. These are great ideas in Pinterest to DIY sensory bottles. Yes, we cannot talk about sensory bottles enough, because that is a calming feature for children, right? When they're on sensory overload. And I loved, Veronica, your concept about not too much in the space, because that, we tend to want to keep the time filled and keep kids engaged, but really recognizing that sensory overload can happen quickly. So really just putting what's necessary in this moment, whether it's for auditory stimulation, tactile, visual, but not creating an overwhelming space. That's huge. Yeah. All right. So we are going to say goodbye shortly and kick it off with a song. But in the chat box, we're going to put our Play at Home link on as well. In addition to having the honor of working with Too Small to Fail and Jane and their incredible team to create the adaptive guide, we also have a host of activities for motor planning, sensory communication, visual play on our website. So it is inclusionmatters.org/play-at-home. So that will give you, and we'll type that in the chat box shortly, but that'll give you another set of ideas just to keep the engagement going while we're all still COVID-19ing. So, all right, so who's gonna lead us on our goodbye song?
That would be me, August. He's been wanting Mama, but I don't want him to break my laptop, so I'm keeping him away. Here we go.
All right, so are we gonna unmute everybody?
I think so.
Is that gonna happen?
Good.
Everybody has the ability to unmute themselves if you want to participate.
You can bring your
Yes. I don't have a shaker.
Anything that makes a sound, right?
We are ready over here. Are we ready?
Do it.
All right, on the count of 3, we're gonna skin him a rink. Ready? This is one of my favorite songs to do for August at bedtime. Ready, August? 1, 2, 3, and skin him a rink, skin him a rink, I love you. I love you. I love you in the morning and in the afternoon. I love you in the evening and under the moon. Oh, in a ring-a-ding-a-ding, in a ring-a-doo. I love you.
Woo!
Now
Nice.
he thinks it's bedtime, so.
Oh, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, thank you,
Thank
Jane.
you.
Thank
for being
you.
with us.
Morning.
Veronica.
I have one more slide. Just the final takeaways from today.
You bet.
We can
Let's
share
get
it.
right up.
Here we go. Patrick, who is the newest member of our team here, who helped us develop this incredible presentation, will be sharing just 3 short tips on what all of us here can do today, as modeled by Veronica and Marisa.
Thank you so much, Jane. It is so awesome to be joining everyone and during the session. Thank you to our incredible guest speakers for their amazing insights. And I kind of wanted to take away some various takeaways from this presentation that you can do right now, throughout your day, and kind of just things you can constantly be doing to kind of help keep you motivated while we're still in this space. If you haven't done so already, you could check out the Too Small to Fail website and the Talking is Teaching website, which is one of our many campaigns. You can find an abundance of tip sheets, various resources, graphics, videos that kind of really help promote talking, singing, and learning in various small everyday moments. You can stay connected. We like to post daily on our Twitter and Facebook and Instagram accounts, various resources, helpful articles that we find. And kind of our last final takeaway tip is kind of just summarizing what everyone has said in this call, is to really kind of capitalize and enjoy the small moments, whether that be calling a friend, having a onesie day in your pajamas, I really love that tip of having like an at-home drive-in movie night, make a cardboard box, a car. So really kind of capitalizing on the small moments while we're all kind of so like intimately in our homes can really make the world of a difference when they're all compiled together. And thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
If I could end on a final quote that we'd like to share, that'd be wonderful. I know we're on time. Just want to end on this final quote by Rachel Carson. She's an American marine biologist and conservationist. She said, "A child's world is fresh and new and wonderful, full of wonder and excitement. It is our misfortune that for most of us, that clear-eyed vision, that true instinct for what is beautiful and awe-inspiring is dimmed and even lost before we reach adulthood. If we had influence with a good fairy who is supposed to preside over the christening of all children, we should ask that her gift to each child in the world be a sense of wonder, so indestructible that it would last throughout the life as an unfailing antidote against the boredom and disenchantment of later years." So thank you so much for being with us today and all you do and through this partnership to create the sense of wonder. We wore our robes and onesies here today because we just kind of have fun. We're in COVID. So we hope that everyone can just enjoy those little moments together. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much for being here. We're honored. We are honored to have that wonder and, most importantly, tips and tools that are really usable, that people can implement at home all the time. I mean, that's a huge gift to all of us. So we're going to threaten maybe next Lunch and Learn will be onesies and wine on a Wednesday. I don't know. We'll see what we can cook up. But stay tuned for the next Lunch and Learns, Jane. Thank you so much. The partnership with Too Small to Fail is a tremendous gift to us and our families. So thank you, Veronica. Thank you, Marisa.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of your day. All right, we'll see you soon.
Sure. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.